breadboard projects and make them solder full. 149 or more, we're still giving away the PCB Pink Circuit Board KB2040, featuring the RP2040 with 8 megabytes of flash, STEMMA QT connector, USB-C, castellated pads. Works great for keyboard projects or anything where a Pro Mini shaped board would fit. It's also just a great microcontroller to get started with. $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. And we're back with $299 or more, you get a free Circuit Playground Bluefruit, our all-in-one Bluetooth Low Energy capable microcontroller board. It runs Arduino and CircuitPython. It's got sensors and buttons and buzzers and LEDs and more. It's great for getting started with microcontrollers and electronics. And you don't have to do any soldering because everything's built in.
And if you're looking for things that are kind of hard to find, like Raspberry Pis, usually on Wednesdays. TNC4s. Usually on Wednesdays, we put some in stock. And there's a couple different services online. One's on Twitter, RPAI Locator, and you can purchase them. They'll let you know when exactly it goes in stock. Usually it's around 11:30 Eastern time on Wednesdays. But just make sure you have a verified Adafruit account and two-factor authentication. That's been managing to keep the folks away who are trying to buy multiple versions, multiple products, and put them on eBay.
Yes, don't do that.
For lots of money. Okay. Got some live shows that we like to do, including this one. Ask an Engineer. So we just finished up Show and Tell. Good show this week. Jepler came by and showed a really neat Tandy keyboard. And cool. We also talked about if you want to try Wi-Fi on the Raspberry Pi Pico W, that'll be in the beta of the latest CircuitPython.
It's merged.
So that's there. And then JP came by with Darth Vader.
Motorized fader project.
Yeah, Liz came by with a very nice trombone project for the, I guess it's called Trombone Hero?
Trombone Champ.
Trombone Champ, yeah, I guess there's probably some type of trademark.
You can't call it Hero.
Yeah. And then Phil B came by, showed this really neat repair that he made with this like mini disc looking thing. So it's a recorder now.
It is mini disc, but it's record. I didn't know mini discs were recordable.
Yeah. And then Tabs came by, showed this very interesting. It's a CRT inside of a Sony hand cam, like camcorder,
the old style,
like a CRT. It's a little eyeball on it. And then Paul came by and talked about the new podcast that Paul's working on, which is Bootloader, and also, of course, y'all are super fans and listen and watch to the CircuitPython show. So coming up, I think, is Toddbot on Bootloader. And we were talking about this. There isn't a lot of long-form maker stories shows out there. We have to do an electronics company. Yeah. We have Show and Tell. We have Ask an Engineer, JP show. When it's, we're definitely project based and we're going to stick to that. But one of the things, if we had unlimited time, would be interviewing makers, more maker stories, more people that are doing electronics. And thankfully, Paul's doing that. So tune in. You can use your favorite podcatcher, whatever they call them these days.
It's called Bootloader.
And it's called Bootloader. And the other one is CircuitPython show. And there's, some overlap with some of them. A lot of people use Python on microcontrollers, and there'll probably be a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
On Sunday, we do Desk of Ladyada, and it's usually in two parts. The first part is Ladyada showing what she's up to. What were you up to this week? Okay,
this week I was showing off 3 boards that I designed. It's in prototypes put together. So the first up is the Micro LiPo. It's a little battery charger that plugs into a USB port, and you plug in one of our LiPo batteries to charge it. And I was kind of doing a bunch of revisions, and I really wanted to revise this board because I had to order more PCBs. And so I revised it to add a switch, and I just showed testing it out. I also showed, let's see, after that I had I showed off 2 breakouts for the little PB86, the like TR808 style step switches, and then the 8 STEMMA QT output multiplexer board with the PCA 9584 or 48. I can't remember which one. And I showed that, and also I was using Penguin, and I showed off some Penguin silk screens.
Then we do Where in the World is that part I need? It's called The Great Search. Do that with DigiKey. And every week, Ladyada uses her powers of engineering to find what you're looking for. What did you help folks find this week on The Great Search?
Okay, so this week's Great Search was about how to find, parts that look the same do not necessarily have the same specifications. So this week's Great Search was finding a slide switch that could carry up to 5 volts and ideally up to half an amp total through the switch, especially when doubled up. This is a DP-DT switch. And I have like a footprint that I use, but usually the switch doesn't carry power. It's a signal switch, not a power switch. And it's not that common to find SMT power switches. Honestly, usually they're through hole. So I showed how to find some good spec parts, and we did find one in the end.
Okay. And we'll be doing the show again this Sunday, but a little programming note tonight. We're going to do Ion MPI this Sunday. It's a bigger one, so we wanted to make sure we put in all the time needed to show a very cool, new, exciting new product introduction, and we'll be showing that on Sunday. Every Tuesday we have JP's workshop, and we have a highlight. Here it is from this week.
It is the NeoPixel goggles kit. These Lars. So there you can see we have the goggles. I put a little diffusion material, and then we have the 2 NeoPixel rings that are spinning there, doing some cool patterns and picking different colors. And embedded right inside, thanks Lars, right inside of there, you can see we have all of the parts and goodies. The costume goggles and tinted lenses. These are RGB NeoPixel rings. Ribbon cable so that you can connect all of the connections you need. A LiPo battery that you'll use to power it. A little JST battery connector that you'll connect to the underside of the Trinket M0, and you can use Arduino or CircuitPython. We also give you a LiPo charger that you can just plug into a USB port. Plug your battery in there and you can charge it in any port that you have. My product pick of the week this week is the NeoPixel Trinket M0 LED Goggles Kit.
Okay, and then tomorrow, weather permitting in California, who knows what's going to happen there. JP's workshop, and then Friday, deep dive with Tim. Time travel. Got a few things going on. We're still trying to figure out, will we be able to do a Ada box for the holiday season? It all depends on if we can get, between 5,000 and 10,000 parts that have been chronically out of stock. So we'll let you know. If we can't, don't worry. We're not charging credit cards at all until we ship. Maybe we'll just line up 2023. I think we can get everything by then. Things are looking better, but it is a bit of a slog. Anyone who does anything in the world right now with electronics, or really any physical goods on planet Earth, you don't really get what you want right away, and you don't get exactly the thing that you may have purchased. And there's just been a lot of lies and
Yes.
rug pulling, as
Yes.
they say, where you think you're getting something that you ordered from a couple of years ago, and it's still taking a while. So let's go.
But we did get some things.
We did get some things. So I am going to kick off our segment that we've started. It's called The Real World. And let's see what we got.
This is the true story of 9 strangers pick and place to live in a factory, to manufacture together, and have their lives taped. To find out what happens when people stop being polite and start getting real. Adafruit, the real world.
Okay. So we have some stuff that came in.
Yeah.
What is it this week?
All right, this week we've got the Max 31865, which people might find familiar if you like to connect to RTD temperature sensors. We use them in our PT100 and PT1000, our Platinum RTD converters. Very popular. People really like these. They're very high quality temperature converters. They're not as high range as a K-type thermocouple, but they are a lot more precise. And because they use a little piece of platinum that the resistance changes. But you need to have a really good analog front end to handle them. So we had this breakout. It's been out of stock for like almost a year. But we got a reel of these chips in this week. And so if you are looking for a PT100 or PT1000 amplifier, if they're not in stock already, which I think we put in some in stock, but if they're not, sign up because we made like 1,000 boards and we're putting in chunks of them at a time.
And, we wanted to tell the other side of this story, which is we've been doing chip shortage and been letting our customers know things that were out of stock, things that we're having a hard time with. And we communicated with some of the companies that could do different allocations. Some of it worked out. Some of it we're still waiting. Some of it will eventually work out. But now we have our, kind of weekly, okay, we think we are going to get these in. Let's celebrate that. And
Yes.
That's why we do.
I don't want to
The
just
Real
complain.
World.
I want to be like,
Yeah.
look, you guys did get me the part. Thank you. I think it's the one we even did a chip shortage on. and it did come in.
We did. So that's the other side of the story.
Yes, so now we have them in stock.
Yeah. All right, mailbag.
Letters. We get letters. We get tweets and we get emails. Your comments via RSS. They are the best now.
Okay, this week, this letter came in from Nathan. Adafruit's customer support in the forums and via email has been speedy, phenomenal, anything a customer could ask outside a working product. This is my first order and certainly won't be the last. You've won a long-term customer who will suggest you to others going forward.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, help wanted. Jobs.adafruit.com is where you can post your skills, or you can post up the job or the thing that you're looking for people to do. And we have a pretty good success rate. And we also monitor these and we look at each one before we approve them. Just so y'all know, because you're probably getting lots of these emails. And I got one from like one of the banks that we use. And this one, I think MIT Press did a tweet today. This happened to them. So someone was pretending to be MIT Press on freelancer.com and they'd have people apply for jobs, hand over bank accounts, and then say, oh, you have to do this like thing or whatever. And then not only was it identity theft, but it was also they were out of money because they have all sorts of tricks that they do now. So we really like to make sure that these are legit things. They're actual companies that are looking to hire makers. Some of them are freelance opportunities. So check out this one. This is a wearable medical device opportunity. This is out of Dublin, Ireland. Check it out. It's a contract job. And if you're interested in building new things or have building things, check out jobs.adafruit.com. Python on hardware. Okay, this week in the Adafruit newsletter from adafruitdaily.com.
This is a good newsletter. I like this
went out one day later because we had a issue with sending stuff out, but it came out. I'll get to the story I was going to ask you about, but we went over, if you haven't seen our shows last week or some of the things that we've been writing about, Adafruit Penguin, you can use any font in EagleCAD. That's exciting, and we definitely abused Papyrus quite a bit.
And people will see, as I'm doing a lot of board reorders right now, as new boards come in, you're going to see some of the nice silk screens filter in. You might get ones with the older versus newer silk screen as I make them all pretty using Penguin. It's made it so fast, I do it instantly and then order the boards. Great.
And then this is interesting because we just had our show and tell not too long ago.
Tandy.
And a lot of folks are taking some of the retro hardware, but now they're updating it with new things. So this is a Tandy TRS-80 model. We have one, Model 100. This is a retrofit. So it uses Raspberry Pi hardware, uses Pico running CircuitPython, and while the machine itself is faster, they kept the same display too. So this is very neat.
Look at the first part was the keyboard, and then the next thing they're going to do is maybe put in like a Raspberry Pi with like a bar display.
Yeah, maybe a color display. Couple interesting things: program environment for MicroPython called Iguana. You can check that out. Badger, if you want to hack your ID badges, play games. This is a cool badge from the folks at Pi Moroni. You can use MicroPython with that. And then the CircuitPython IDE, I don't know if you all have seen this, but there's an online IDE for it. A couple new features, file modification indicator, and the other is a serial mode indicator. So you can check that out.
Yes, and this is River Wangs, and we also have our own as well. So that's cool.
So here it is. And this is like real and live, and like, you can connect to your board.
Yeah.
And I just went, straight here from the newsletter. What a wonderful time to be doing
Chrome is
electronics.
amazing.
All right. You can check out some of the shows that we have. We just talked about Paul, who is on the Show and Tell, who has Bootloader, in addition to other shows. I think this week is
Braden,
and Braden showed some projects last week on the Show and Tell.
Yeah.
And then don't forget September 29th, which is coming up tomorrow, the CircuitPython Community Help Desk. Oh, here's a bootloader project.
Oh, yeah,
that's
it is
cool.
in there.
That's a nice logo. Good
Okay,
work.
Todd and Paul.
Yeah, and this was one of random projects here. So the thing I wanted to give you a couple of minutes of airtime, Ladyada, is I saw this running around and everyone's like, nothing.
Well, this is a
nothing.
joke.
Nothing divides people up like programming languages or bring people together. So mainline Python 3.14 predicted to be faster than C++. Really.
Okay.
What's this all about?
It's a little bit of a joke. So basically, as of Python, the biggest deal with Python was just trying to get everyone onto 3, which took a while. And I think, what you can see is by the time we got to like 3.6, 3.7, a lot of people moved over to 3. And so one of the things that seems like the Python Foundation wanted to focus their time on, because there's so much stuff built in, and like there were a couple additional, like the walrus operators, and I think async also got a little bit more support in recent versions. But it looks like what they've really been working on for the last couple of versions, starting with 3.10 and 3.11, is improving by decreasing the amount of time it takes to execute Python scripts. So interpreted languages are great because they have memory management and garbage collection, and they're often dynamically typed, and I just love interpreted
You don't have to
languages.
compile them and sit
You don't have
there.
to compile stuff. Trade-off is, of course, things can fail halfway through the program because it's not all compiled at once. But second thing is usually they're a lot slower because they're run through a virtual machine. But it looks like one of the things they've really been working on is really improving the quality, the speed of the Python runtime. Looks like there's a example loop that they use, and the loop time is usually 10 milliseconds or 10 seconds for this example loop, and they got it down to 11 seconds, and it got down to like about 6. So it's about 2 times increase in speed, which is great, because if the only trade-off between interpreted languages and compiled languages is the running time, then if you can just improve the running time, then maybe more people will use Python for live applications, not just for speed of programming, but also speed of running. And so there's this joke of like it uses like the XKCD graph generator, where it's like if you extrapolate, like yesterday you weren't married, today you are married, which means in 3 days you will have 7 husbands. If the loop time has gone down this much so far, basically within a year we will have negative loop time.
Yeah.
Not really, but it'll get closer. I mean, I think they could probably squeeze another 2 times speed improvement. Now that they're looking at it.
And one of the great things now is everyone can try something out for free, essentially. Like there's some way to try something out for free. So my suggestion is stay away from the arguments online, like make sure you cut your teeth and you should write things in assembly. Don't listen to any of those folks. In fact, run away from them. Try something out. And one of the things that's kind of nice now is with microcontrollers and being able to do Python with microcontrollers, you can learn a skill that can work on desktop, data sciences. You can any of the machine learning stuff, any of the AI stuff. Like there's tons of things. And then the Raspberry Pi with Blinka, like learning a programming language to start, and then being able to do a lot of stuff with it, and then figuring out where you want to do literally deep dives. You have a deep dive.
Yeah.
Is really powerful, and the microcontrollers are fast enough now where there really isn't like what are you doing with these things where a millisecond's going to matter for a lot of these
Yeah,
projects.
and one of the things that we've always prioritized in CircuitPython, I mean, this is Python, which is of course a different core than CircuitPython, but one of the things that we've always prioritized is ease of use over runtime speed, because you can always improve the runtime speed later, but getting the usability is important to get done first, because it's one of those things that if you don't bake in the usability and the ease of use to start, it's really hard to add that later. I found that things don't get easier to use with time. They'll get faster,
Yeah.
but usually it's like whatever system you have set up to program the boards in. That's why using mass storage was really important to us, using Wi-Fi workflow.
Yeah. I feel like the biggest barrier right now is just getting people started and having some success with what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That seems to be the thing that's taking the longest, is like a total abandonment and not wanting to do it. And then hey, no, really, there's other ways to do things. So anyways.
Anyways, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
So the graph is a joke, but the performance improvement is real.
Yeah. And that's Python on Horror.
Thank you, Blinka.
And we deliver this every single week to your inbox. Usually Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays. And speaking of Adafruit Daily, so the Adafruit IoT newsletter monthly is coming out. You can go to adafruitdaily.com and sign up for that. And then we also have our new product newsletter. That's the only one you can get through our website if you want to. You can go to adafruit.com/newsletter. But we also do it as a standalone newsletter on Adafruit Daily too, so you don't even need to use our store site. So do check those out.
I strongly recommend the IoT newsletter, especially since so much stuff is happening with
There's a lot.
Whippersnapper. It's like it's nonstop. So if you're interested in the rapid development that's occurring on Whippersnapper and Adafruit IO, and of course, general IoT news around the industry, do subscribe.
Yeah, and just because y'all know us. So even though it's our newsletter, we put everything in there. It doesn't matter which company is making an IoT thing. We're just picking the best stuff.
Oh yeah, and people can send in
There's no
stuff
affiliate
too.
links. There's no ads. There's no Amazon affiliate links. There's nothing like that. We just cover the stuff that we like and we want to show and share. And I think that's why people like these newsletters, because they never feel like they're getting tricked or they're getting sold something. It is really like, here's cool stuff that we like and we're up to, and things that other people make. I kind of wish more newsletters were like this. Okay, open source hardware time.
Yep.
We have 2,737 guides, Ladyada. We've got a bunch, so let's start with the first one.
Okay, first up, we have updated some guides. This is an updated guide. Oh, sorry, this guide, actually I remember what this guide was. Eva has been going through many of our sensor guides and adding Whippersnapper getting started pages. So the LC709 is one that Whippersnapper, our no-code IoT system, recently added support for. And Eva has added a page on how to do that. So especially people who have projects with a built-in battery charger, they're using a battery monitor or using an external battery monitor, you can now track that on Whippersnapper.
Okay, next up.
Okay, a bunch of new guides and updated guides. On the right, a new guide from Jepler on the Tandy 1000 keyboard. Jepler inherited a stash of old keyboards and decided to Circuit Pythonify them. They're all different. Like these are pre-USB, pre-PS2. So each one of them has their own like funky, unique, weirdo protocol. So in this case, it was like a clocked serial interface that Jeff found some documentation for, and then showed how you can use CircuitPython with PIO, which is the really cool RP2040 built-in state machine system, to program in the bit banging required to do this like weird serial protocol for the Tandy 1000 keyboard. And then he 3D printed a little jack to add it on. So I thought this was kind of neat because on one hand it's a keyboard, on the other hand it's a great PIO tutorial as well. Yeah. Liz is going to be Pi-leapifying a couple Clue sensor projects for a
we have a video
pack.
for this one
we have
too.
a pack, but basically Pi-leap is our way of, you can use a phone to upload code to Bluetooth and in the future Wi-Fi CircuitPython boards without having to write any code at all, without needing access to a computer. So it's really handy for people who only have a phone. You want to just run some of our demos. You don't want to set up even the most minimal Moo install or whatever. You can use a phone to do it. So we wanted to have a little guide that goes with the Pi-leap installation. If you haven't tried out Pi-leap right now, it's available for iOS. We're working on an Android version, and we'll show the video later. And then Brent's been working on updating the Whippersnapper guides. We took some more screenshots because we've updated the look and feel. And then Anne has also, by the way, if people who want to, if you see example code that we have and you want to improve it or you want to add your own example code, all of our example code for all of our projects is on the learning system. So we've unified it. So like every guide, all like 2,000 guides, the code is in GitHub and you can see the original code. And if you see typos and stuff, please submit pull requests because we will take them.
Yeah. And then we'll play the video for the Pi-leap project, but then we have another set of guides, and then we're going to play one of these videos. I don't know
what happened with Make It Pulse. Probably just we updated the guide.
Yeah.
We do have a guide now for the ENS 160 MOX gas sensor. That's last week's new product. It's a handy 4-channel MOX gas sensor. It's the upgrade to the CCS 811 from Sciosense. It's a lovely sensor, especially since the CCS 811 was one of the original I2C gas sensors. This one works quite well as well. Gives you TVOC, total volcanic. I always say volcanic. Total volatile organic compounds.
Yeah.
Volatile organic, not volcanic. Effective CO2 and air quality index. As well as the resistances. So that's available in CircuitPython, Python, and Arduino. So check out that guide for how to use it. Erin is back. I don't know if people remember Erin, our in-house mermaid. She traveled the world. She swam the world for the last year or so, taking a little bit of a break, but then has come back and is rocking it with guides and projects. This one shows how to install WLED, which is a cool wireless LED library, and you can run it on our ESP32 boards. So she shows how to do that for the Feather and Feather ESP32 and the QtPy ESP32 to make these awesome Wi-Fi jellyfish. And I think we'll have a video as well.
Yeah, we're going to show 2 videos from the Learn system.
And then finally, the LED backpacks hex segment page completely got redone by Kattni to modernize it and add CircuitPython example code.
So we're going to show the jellyfish video and then the
Jellyfish.
PyLeap video.
Okay.
See you on the other side.
Our oceans are full of life, and few species are more fascinating than the jellyfish. Jellyfish are more than 600 million years old, having survived all 5 mass extinction events. Some are deadly, some have bioluminescence, and one species may be immortal. This tutorial will show you how to create your own luminescent jellyfish out of iridescent vinyl and NeoPixel LEDs. Easily add endless light patterns with WLED software, with no coding required. You can even make multiple jellyfish and sync them up over your Wi-Fi network. This is a fairly easy project with no coding and just a little soldering. The end result is out of this world. See the full build tutorial at learn.adafruit.com.
Leap into plotting sensor data with an Adafruit Clue and PyLeap. The Clue has tons of onboard sensors that can measure movement, light, sound, and environmental factors like temperature and humidity. This project uses the Clue's display to plot all of the sensor's data. After pairing your Clue to the PyLeap app, scroll to the Clue Sensor Plotter project. Open it and press Run It to transfer the project files to your Clue over Bluetooth. Then, your Clue will start running the project code. You can use the Clue's buttons to control the project. The B button changes the style of the plot. You can choose between plotting with a line or dots and having the plotter scroll or wrap around the display. The A button changes the sensor that is plotting on the screen. As the sensor's values change, you'll see the on-screen plot change as well. This project is a great introduction to the Clue and its many features. If you're curious about what makes the code tick or plot, you can check out the original Learn guide that goes into depth on how everything is working. Happy plotting!
And it's time for some factory footage made right here in New York City. Okay, 3D printing time. And like we said, the 3D printing shows and more we're on a little bit of a break today because of weather. Hurricane Ian is heading right towards San Pedro. They're okay. We were talking with them over email. Everything's fine right now, but they took the day off to put all the things that could fly away inside. So
Maybe 3D print some tarps or something.
So
like that.
they were able to get a couple videos out, and we're going to play this.
You can build an MP3 audio player with CircuitPython and parts from Adafruit. This personal music player features a TFT display and mechanical key switches. With this DIY project, you can relive the years when physical media was hot and chunky gadgets were the norm. Powered by the Adafruit Feather RP2040, this dev board is packed with tons of great features. It's got plenty of GPIO and flash memory that can be used in either CircuitPython or Arduino. 4 key switches are used as button controls and feature NeoPixel LEDs. Use the rotary encoder to adjust the volume with a graphical progress bar on the display. An audio jack lets you plug in your favorite pair of headphones like these old school wireframes. Store your favorite tracks on a micro SD card to make your own mixtape that you can easily swap out. The 3D printed case is inspired by the Sony Walkman and features parts that snap fit together. A slide switch on the side of the case lets you easily turn the device on and off. There's also a built-in button for hitting the onboard reset switch, which comes in handy. The code was written in CircuitPython by Todd Kurt and John Park. It uses the MP3 library to decode and play back audio using an I2S Class D amplifier. It's all open source and available to download on the Adafruit GitHub repo. You can customize the features or write your own by heading over to the Learn Guide for a full step-by-step tutorial. Our enclosure design features 3D models of Adafruit parts that are free to use in your projects. Be sure to check out the CAD parts repo on GitHub. We hope this inspires you to check out Adafruit's CircuitPython for your next audio project.
Okie dokie. And we'll start new products in a couple minutes here.
Hi. Sorry.
Yeah, we
All's
gotta
good?
do some stuff.
All right.
Before you do that, code segments, 10% off in the Adafruit store, all the way up to 11:59 p.m. tonight. Ladyada, are you ready to kick it?
Always here and now missing. One moment. Sorry, just give me a second. I should have checked my cables. You gotta check your cables
Yeah.
before you wreck your stables.
Yep.
Hold on.
So many cables.
Can you?
You want me to find you one?
I have one on my desk.
Okay. So here I am. I'm just going to hang out for a bit. You know what I'll do? I'll show the code.
Okay. 1 second. Sorry. Oh, you know what?
I'll use my please stand by card.
You know what? I'm going to keep my product night purple woven cable because that will always find it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ready to new.
Okay, we're going to start over. Sing it.
New, 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 new. Where's my cable? New, new, new.
We'll edit this in post. All right.
Okay.
First up,
Okay, so we have a revision, but it's a revision that I want to talk about because it's a big deal revision. So the INA 219, which we revised to add STEMMA QT connectors. People love this. It's a high or low side current sensor. It goes over I2C. It's one of our oldest products. I think it's like product number 904, so it's quite old. But here's the thing. So, click here. So, so we revised it, and it looks a little different, and I want to explain what changed. So we could not get the INA 219B, which is the version of the SOT23 chip that we've been using for a really long time. So instead, what we did is we revised the board to use an SOIC sized chip. So the chip is bigger, and it's the INA 219A, not the 21. It may be the 219A, not just the 219B. The difference is the 219B, I think, is 0.5% precision, and the 219A is 1% precision. Thing is that resistor is only like 1% precise anyways, so it's not like it's going to make a huge difference, but I do want to mention that the precision has changed slightly. We never promised that we'd have the 219B. We kind of just said it was the 219. We just couldn't get the 219B chips anymore. It was just very difficult. We wanted to keep these in stock, and I think for most people's usage, the 219A is just fine. If this is absolutely killing you and you absolutely need the 219B, I think in the next few months we might be able to revert back to using specifically the B subtype. But the next few months, basically, we could only get the A type, and I thought it'd be better to have it in stock, even if it's 0.2% less precise.
Okay, next up.
Okay, next up, we have, this is actually something handy for people who have a microbit, or you have a Circuit Playground Express or Circuit Playground, or any other project where it has like alligator clippy pads. So we had Tower Pro, which makes the servos that we really like, create a version of their micro servo, but this time it has alligator clips on it, which makes it really easy.
Good for workshops.
It's great for basically.
Yeah, this is gonna. If you've ever had to do any step-by-step instructional learning, especially with youngins, you will appreciate this because you can get right to controlling a servo and not trying to figure out which way to plug it in.
Yeah.
Wrong stuff, wrong wires, wrong this.
Okay, so let's go to
that.
the overhead, and I'll show off this demo. Okay, so basically this is just a demo of moving back and forth, but it's the same micro servo, geared plastic servo that you're used to. Send it 1 to 2 millisecond pulses, and you can power it from ground and signal. And in this case, I'm powering it from V out, which happens to be 5 volts, but you can also power it from 3.3 volts. It won't move as fast or as strong, but I know the microbit only has 3 volts available. But basically, we have a servo to alligator clip adapter cable, which you can use with any servo. But if you just want to get started quickly with the micro servo, this is very compact and easy to use. And the wires are color coded, which took us quite a few tries to get the right color coding. But power is red, signal is white, and ground is black.
Yeah, this is gonna save a lot of people a lot of time. Okay.
It's funny, I had the USB-C cable right here. It was plugged into one of my
that's the way it always is.
I
What are
know.
you gonna do? And also, it takes like 3 times to plug in the cable, too. So.
Yeah, I got it all. Okay. So we're continuing on our path to have our 7-segment backpacks all come pre-assembled, so that people don't even have to solder in the LED segment displays. So these are STEMMA QT capable 7-segment backpacks, so they're plug and play, and you don't even have to solder in the LED segments. So let's go to the overhead because I'll show these off.
Yeah. Do you want me to show both of them before we go to the overhead? Because we have.
Sure. There's blue and white. We also already put in red and green. I think that was the last few weeks.
Yeah, we had a bunch in. So
yeah,
you go to the page so you can select and get all the different colors.
Correct.
But here's the.
Also, one of our first products was the 7-segment backpack, so it's great to be updating it. Okay, so beef 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is the 2 blue and white. They're incredibly bright matrix drivers, and what's nice is, of course, now you don't have to solder anything at all. You can just plug and play over I2C. You can have up to 8 of them if you solder close these jumpers over here. But otherwise, they're just stackable. You can put them next to each other. They stack up side by side, so you can have very long digits if you so wish. And always STEM QT. So we're trying to get everything to as little soldering as possible required to get started.
Okay. Next up.
Okay, another update. So there's many updates because of this chip shortage, which is causing a little bit of a back and forthness in the market. So
I was on this email thread. Oh yeah, these came in. Cool.
These came in.
It is
Okay.
like that. It's like, oh, these are finally, I can get these to you. Great.
Okay, so this is the OpenMV M7. This is like a smart machine learning camera that you can program with MicroPython. It's very powerful. It uses the STM32H743, which, if anybody knows, is basically like total unobtainium. But they were able to get some stock to fabricate some. The only deal is they couldn't fabricate the version 2 with the, I think it's the MT9411 camera. So this has, I think, the OV56 something camera. It's basically version 1. For a while we were selling version 2, but then chip shortage hit, crushed all hopes and dreams of getting STM32H7. So, the one thing we were able to get is to go back to V1. If you absolutely need V2, you really want that, that new MT9411 or whatever part number camera, please wait, maybe in 6 months we'll have some of the V2s. But for most people's uses, it doesn't really matter. The camera quality is almost identical. The chip is the same. The software functionality is the same. So we have a couple hundred of these in stock. Honestly, I don't know when, and neither does OpenMV know when they're going to be able to make more of these.
Yeah, if you're going to get one, just get one.
So if you want one,
Might be a little bit.
you may not want to wait out until
Yeah.
the V2 is available. You might want to get the V1, and it's basically the same.
Anyone who's been waiting on ST chips is living
Yeah.
in a world of hurt.
If you're in an STM32 F7 or H7 world, you're in a world of pain.
Okay.
And no parts.
Next up.
And look, here's another STM-based board. What a coincidence. So actually, this is funny. This one, they went to the GD32 F105, which is a Gigadevice ST-compatible chip. So this is the Blackmagic Probe. This is a really cool all-in-one debugger that has built-in debugging capabilities for a variety of chips, ARM core chips. It's SWD programming. But what's really neat is it's kind of like built into the chip itself, so you don't necessarily need to install OpenOCD. It's very popular, and we were out of stock for a very long time. They had to do a bit of a redesign for chip shortage reasons. But thankfully, we were able to get some. They've also updated the firmware. It's now V2.3. So we got a bunch of these, and I think they'll be able to keep these in stock. Hopefully, Gigadevice can supply them with the chips. And, basically, this is kind of an advanced programming debugger for folks who are using, if you're using STMs or SAMDs, anything with a Cortex M0, M3, M4 processor. This will do the job. Check out the open source code also on GitHub. You can see the changes and also make sure that your chip is supported.
All right, next up.
Okay, this is a very weird cable. So we didn't get a lot of these.
What is this?
Okay, so this is extra weird because we've actually stocked USB-C PD cables already, and USB-C. What's interesting? I thought this was like makeup on it, but it's actually a translucent cable.
Yeah.
So these are very interesting cables in that you plug in the USB-C side into a wall adapter that can supply USB power delivery, 5, 9, 12, 15, 20 volts. There's like power supplies that can supply different voltages based on what kind of cable device is plugged in. Yeah. So we stock the cables that when you plug it in, they will give you like a fixed 9 volts out or a fixed 12 volts out. And it's very handy because you no longer have to have multiple wall warts. Like, how we have that box of wall warts at home?
Yes.
And we can't get rid of it because it's always like
no,
you need
there's
it.
always I need that one.
There's always a thing you need. So the idea is to replace those. Instead of having different wall warts with different voltages, the cable defines, or the device defines, the voltage. So we had the fixed cables. And if you want like a fixed voltage, like I always want 9 volts or always want 12 volts, get that. Now, if you're freaky like me and you want a cable that can be reprogrammed to request different voltages, this is your thing. So this cable, and this is so dangerous. It's like sometimes we carry stuff and I'm like, you're gonna hurt yourself. So try to like not hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But this cable comes with a little dongle. You see the dongle in the top right. You can program that. There's some Windows software that comes with it, and you can reprogram the power delivery requester chip to request different voltages. So you can have it be 5, 7, 9, 10, 12, 15, 18, and 20, I think. And you program it with like these little kind of like, they're not EDIDs, but they kind of feel like EDIDs are little code chunks. And then the cable turns into that cable. So one day you can have it be a 5-volt requester cable. The next day it's a 12-volt. The next day it's 20. You can have it request the highest voltage up to or the lowest voltage, whatever. There's like different programs that you can program it with. Basically, it's extremely dangerous because you don't know what you're going to, like if you thought that you programmed it for 9, but it's actually 12.
This is a super fun cable.
Yeah, you could get 12. If you're interested in experimenting with power delivery, though, I think this does have some use cases, especially if you're not sure what power delivery you want or you want to test a power supply with different voltages. So it's like kind of funky. I will say you do have to reprogram it between each settings. Like you can't, there's no button or anything to switch the setting. You have to reprogram it each time for the different settings. But it's one cable that can do them all. Just try not to hurt yourself with this. Don't forget what you set it to because you think it was set for 5 volts. It's actually set for 20. You plug it in and you blow up your electronics. So super fun.
Okay, and Star Show tonight, besides you, Ladyada, our team, our community, our customers, our staff, everyone who works with us, everyone who's supporting this adventure called Adafruit is
the PCF 8575. Now you might be wondering, wow, why do you have a 16 IO expander? Don't you have the NCP 23017? Yeah, we do, but we're not getting chips till 2024. Or maybe, hopefully we'll get some sooner.
Come on.
But I wanted to have something out there for people who needed a 16-bit GPIO expander and did not want to wait for the MCP 23017 expander to come back into stock. This is very inexpensive. It's very easy to use. It's a bit of a funky chip. We stock the PCF 8574, which is the 8-bit version, and that's been in the store for a bit, and people have liked that. So the thing with that is they actually use very similar code. There's technically no direction register for the pins on this. There's only 2 modes for each I/O. It's either a light pull-up input or a strong syncing output. Basically what this means is that if you want to wire up an LED, this cannot source current, it can only sync current. So you have to connect the LED from the power, one of the power rail pins, to the GPIO. And if you want to have a button connected, you have to have the button connected to ground. So when you press the button, it shorts to ground, and that will use the light pull up on the input. It's not as powerful and amazing as like something the MCP 23017. However, it's available and it's very inexpensive. And there's a lot of drivers out there. We wrote Arduino and CircuitPython/Python code. There's 3 address pins, so you can have 8 of these. There is an interrupt output. There is an interrupt output pin. All light pull-up inputs are automatically added to the IRQ. So it's a very simple chip, right? There's not a lot going on. There's like one I2C register, but it does work quite well. So I thought I'd show this demo, which is using the USB-C cable that I finally found.
That's right.
So I just have it, one thing that I liked about this breakout is it had a little space. So I added a power rail, ground and power, because again, LEDs, you have to connect the anode to power and the cathode to LED. You can't do it you can't connect it from the IO to ground. It will not be able to source current. It only can sync current. And here's a button connected from one of the ground pins to an IO. And then I have a little Arduino sketch running on here. It reads the button. When the button switches, when I press the button, it switches which LED is lit, back and forth, all over GPIO, and then this fell out. Second. There you go. Very simple demo, but it's effective. One thing that is nice about this is because the I2C interface is so simple. It's very fast. Like, you don't have to read a bunch of registers and do bit masks or whatever. There's literally, you either write the 16-bit output or you read the 16-bit input, and that's it.
Okay. And that is new products.
Yay! New. I found my cable. New. All is good. New.
All right, so a little bit reminder, the code is segments. We have some questions that we've lined up. So
Okay.
I'm going to jump to this because we're going to try to get out of here. 9 o'clock on the dot tonight. Okay.
Ask
Start
away.
putting them in
There's a
Discord.
little bit of extra few minutes for questions.
Yeah, so adafruit.it/discord. So here we go. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. For one of the products you showed before, this one.
Servo, yeah.
Yeah. Is it possible to mod it so it's continue rotation servo?
Not easily. I know that standard size servos you can modify, and I might, if this does well, if people like this, I will say it took like a month of back and forth to get them to understand what I wanted. I'm totally willing to get other servos with alligator clips, but I want to make sure, since I have to buy like 1,000 at a time, I want to make sure that this is something people want. So It's not modifiable, but with luck, we'll also have a standard servo and a rotation servo eventually.
Okay. Is there any way I can use the MakerPi 2040 motor output chip H-bridge as a simple relay?
H-bridges are not really relays. They sometimes you can use a relay in exchange of an H-bridge, but you can't really use an H-bridge in exchange of a relay. And so what I recommend is we have a simple relay breakout board that you can just plug in. It comes with you can connect a JST-PH cable and just plug it into some of the header pins that are on. I think the MakerPi has like header pins. If you don't want to do any soldering, I would recommend doing that rather than trying to rework this H-bridge.
Okay. Would you consider selling a breakout board for the 3 amp USB-C power banks? I get a lot of use out of my 220,000 hour milliamp one, and it'd be great to have that option to make custom ones, replace the boards and broken ones.
If I could get boost converters, I actually just got into a little bit of a email back and forth with TI. They're like, no, check out these cool boost converters we sell. I'm like, they are not in stock. I cannot use them if I cannot buy them. So I would love to have, power boosts and 3 amp, power DC-DC converters. I can't get chips. So it's one of the first things that went AWOL during the chip shortage.
For our real world segment, we had this as a reel. How many are typically in a reel like this?
Oh, these I think come in a reel of 2,000.
Okay.
I think 500 to 2,000. I mean, it depends. Actually, what's interesting is there's a lot of companies that they sell multiple reel sizes. Like sometimes, like TI especially, they tend to have 250 reels, and then I think 2,000 reels, or maybe 1,000 or 2,000 reels. So I often, when I'm getting started, I get one reel of like the mini reel of 250, and then when things go well, I get the 1,000 or 2,000 piece reel.
Okay. Next up, this is just maybe someone could try to figure this out based on what you say. How many feet miles of 0.11 pin? 0.10 pin headers Adafruit goes through in a year?
It's a really good question. I would guess that we go through about 1 million pins a year.
Okay, so you can do the math.
So do the math, but I do not know how many miles it is. But it's let's say 1 million. I don't actually know, but I'm just totally guessing.
Okay. Do you know of an iOS spanner that does pull up and pull down?
I do not. It's actually quite rare. Usually they do pull-ups. The AW9523 doesn't do pull-ups at all, which I think is a little annoying. The MCP23017 does do pull-ups. Like I said, the PCF 857Xs do a light pull-up. I do not know of any that do pull-downs. It's very rare. It's unusual. I don't think they would spend the money, to be honest, because if you're using a GPIO expander, it's like you could probably customize your setup.
Okay. Speaking of crazy ideas like this cable, if you're going to build a tiny space heater type project, what would you use for it?
Wow, that is a really bad idea. Well, I'm glad
It's a space heater for ants. Yeah. Okay.
I really wouldn't, because space heaters often have
Tiny space heater.
Well, they have. You want something UL certified, so if it falls over, it turns off, and it doesn't overheat. But you can use our little mini hot plate and just put your hand over it.
Okay. Why isn't there Adafruit candy shaping the characters? We have done.
There is, but it's called rainbow fentanyl for some reason.
No,
no, not really.
We've had some like Adabot lollipops and some other things. We'll probably do something at some point. So it is an idea that we tossed around because we like to think.
We did those LED gumdrops.
Yeah, we've done.
Becky did that as a project, an early project.
Okay. Have we ever logged walking around Adafruit with pedometer? Yeah, I have. Back when I was shipping, even when we were apartment Adafruit,
did,
it was a few miles.
Yeah, I remember
It's
you had your little watch, your Fitbit or something.
Okay, the numbers are in it. Might be 1.58 miles of headers.
Okay.
Because of the pins.
No, I mean, like, we go through a lot of headers, but this was one of the things that like we did that was weird. It was like we included headers with our.
We're getting
course.
the same result. What is it? 5 sigma that's when it's real. That's when the result is real. So we're getting close. Yeah. Okay. I think this might be everything. It is. All right, that's our questions for tonight. Thank you, everybody. Our code is segments. 10% off the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. tonight. Special thanks to Zay, all the Adafruit community members here, everyone in Discord, everyone in all the different chats, taking good care of one another, helping each other out. This is our favorite time of the week every week because we get to hang out with all of you.
I know.
Thank you so much. This has been an Adafruit production. Here is your moment of Zener. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.